But the passage that we're going to deal with, in the section that we're going to deal with in Psalms 137, begins at the first verse of it. It says, "By the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. There on the poplar trees, we hung our harps. For there our captors asked us for songs. Our tormentors demanded songs of joy. They said, 'Sing us one of those songs of Zion.' How can we sing the songs of the Lord while in a strange or pagan or foreign land? If I forget you, Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its skill. May my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you, if I do not consider Jerusalem my highest joy." And we're going to work with that passage some and speak from the subject, singing in a strange land. Focusing on the verse, how can we sing the songs of the Lord, or how can we sing when we are in a strange or foreign or pagan land? We're going to talk about singing in a strange land. Subtopic, if we were to deal with the subtopic, or something easier to remember, because we've all heard it said in church a million times, can I get a witness? So, these songs, and what's going on here. From the earliest records of Mesopotamia, cities were associated with particular patron deities. Back in that day, a city, Greece was the city of Athena, the Greek goddess. From there, and that was much later than this passage, but from the earliest records of Mesopotamia, cities were associated with particular patron deities. For example, in the prologue to his famous law collection, Hammurabi, who most of you probably have never heard of, declares how he built up various cities and the temples of the deities who in particular dwelt there. So close was the association between city and deity that the city seal incorporated the name of the patron deity. The same notions held true for ancient Egypt. Different creation accounts emerged from major cities of Egypt, extolling the role of the primary god worshipped in each respective city. From the founding of the nation of Israel, Yahweh's intention was to establish a holy city in which he would dwell. So Akron would have its own god, patron god. Cleveland would have its own patron god. Akron's patron god might be LeBron James at the moment. That would be the closest thing that we got to that. Each city has its own patron god. After various temporary locations, Jerusalem was finally chosen. Jerusalem was the city of God, where David and Solomon built the permanent temple. This is fast forwarding much further than we are in Genesis, but Jerusalem was the city of Yahweh for the nation of Israel. That's where he dwelt. That's where the ark stayed, and that was his city. The temple, as well as the city in which it was located, became theologically the center of the created world. So for the nation of Israel, for a people whose life was built around their theology, for the people who knew no difference between secular and sacred, all of life was an experience in Yahwism, or the Hebrew theology, however we want to present it. The center of their universe was Jerusalem, because that was the resting place of God. Because of the close link between the city, the temple, and the deity, hymns were composed in Mesopotamia and Egypt, extolling the city as beautiful dwelling places, alongside praise for the god or goddess whose temple was located there. In this practice, psalmists have done the same as hymn writers through the ancient world. So through the book of Psalms, the same way other regions and religions would write songs extolling the virtues of that god, Athena, Marduk, whoever it was at the time, psalms would have specific psalms that talked about the city of God and extolled the city of God. And there were other songs that aren't necessarily collected in Psalms that were a part of temple worship, that were a part of offering up sacrifice, and critical and central to the culture of Israel and their worship and their identity, such as Psalms 46, 48, 84, 87, 122. These psalms included the city, as far as their subject matter, the city and its temple as the dwelling place of God, the grandeur of the city's location, gates and walls. So we got Cleveland Rocks as a song, or the theme, the I Love New York, New Empire State of Mind. The Jerusalem would have its songs. The foundation of the city being laid in heaven, that it was a place of security. The good fortune of the inhabitants, the people who live there, that's outstanding. You're living in the same city that God is. Remember, we talked about God being a God where they would associate this place, this ziggurat is where we pierce the boundary between heaven and earth. This is where we can reach God. I don't have to go somewhere. And people, every year, they would make pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Yeah, they'd worship in their own homes and they would do things, but when it came time to gather as a nation, didn't matter where in Israel you lived, everybody converged upon Jerusalem for that event. The Republican or Democratic National Convention would be the closest thing that I can think of to something in this country that would be similar. But it would also, the songs would also wish well and have for the city and give prayers and blessings for the city. These are the songs of Zion that are being referenced in this Psalm 137.